beautiful legacy. Every line, every curve leaves a trace of who we were.
Hello and welcome. You are listening to A Beautiful Legacy. I'm your host, Tiago Pinto, and this is your short moment to look at the objects, systems, and the ideas that shaped how we live, shop, work, and move. In this chapter, we are starting with the work, because sometimes legacy is compressed into one object, one instrument, one small change in form. A bass guitar may seem like a tool for musicians, sometimes technical, sometimes that belongs on a stage, in a studio, or in the hands of a player. But instruments do more than produce sound. They shape posture, movement, precision, volume, and the way people play together. Before the Fender Precision Bass, rhythm was heavier. It was harder to move, harder to amplify, and harder to control with consistency. Then Leo Fender redesigned the bass for the electric age. In doing so, he did not simply create a new instrument, he helped reshape the sound of modern music. Today, we are looking at the Fender Precision Bass, a bass that could be carried like a guitar, amplified like an electric instrument, played with frets for accuracy, built for musicians who needed rhythm to travel, cut through, and hold the room together. This is the story of when rhythm became portable.
Beautiful legacy. Every line, every curve leaves a trace of who we were.
To understand the precision bass, we have to understand what came before it. For decades, the upright bass was the foundation of the rhythm sections in jazz, blues, swing, and early popular music. It gave music its pulse, but it also came with limitations. It was large, fragile, hard to transport. In crowded clubs, it occupied valuable space. On the road, it was a logistical nightmare. And then there was volume. As bands became louder, the upright bass struggled to compete. Horns, drums, electric guitars, and noisy dance halls often swallowed its sound. Bassists had to work harder just to be heard. There was also a precision. So the problem was not only musical, it was spatial, ergonomical, technical, and even commercial. The bassist needed an instrument that could belong to the modern stage. Leo Fender was not a glamorous guitar hero. He was not a virtuoso shaping instruments from inside performance culture. He was a practical inventor. He came from electronics, repair, amplification, and problem solving. His genius was not in romanticizing the instrument. It was in stripping it down to what working musicians actually needed. Fender did not design instruments as sacred objects. He designed them as tools. There was something democratic in that. The instrument was no longer a fragile handcrafted object reserved for specialists. It became a reliable platform for working musicians. With the precision bass, Fender applied that same thinking to rhythm. He did not simply electrify the upright bass. He rethought what a bass could be when freed from its historical form. The Fender Precision Bass was revolutionary because it solved several problems at once. First, it made the bass portable. A bassist could now arrive with an instrument carried on the shoulder, placed in a case, loaded into a car, and used on a small stage. Second, through amplification, the bass could now hold its place in electric ensembles. It could be heard clearly against guitars and drums. It could support rhythm with authority instead of disappearing beneath it. Third, it made the bass more precise. The fretted neck is where the name matters. Precision was not a metaphor. It was a design promise. The frets gave players clearly note placement, making consistent intonation much easier, especially for musicians moving from guitar into bass. And fourth, it changed posture. The upright bass requires a vertical relationship between body and instrument. The precision bass brought the bass into the horizontal language of the electric guitar. Suddenly, the bassist could move. Design changed not just the sound, but the body language of rhythm.
Legacy. Every line, every curve leaves a trace of who we were.
The impact of the precision bass is difficult to overstate because it sits inside so much of what we understand as popular music today. Rock needed bass lines that were loud, stable, and direct. Soul needed groove that could carry emotion through repetition. Funk needed the bass to become physical, syncopated, and central. Disco needed rhythm to drive the body, and punk needed speed, simplicity, and impact. Pop needed low-end structure that could support melody without getting in the way. The precision bass could do all of this because it was both specific and neutral. It had a strong identity, but it did not impose a single musical style. That, right there, is the mark of a powerful design system. It does not only express one idea, it makes many ideas possible. The P-Bass became infrastructure for modern music, not always noticed, but always felt. It was the line underneath the song, the thing that made people move before they knew why.
Beautiful legacy. Every line, every curve leaves a trace of who we were.
The world we inherited from the precision bass is a world where rhythm is mobile. The bassist is no longer tied to a large acoustic object at the back of the stage. The rhythm section is no longer dependent on volume compromises. The bass line is no longer simply a shadow beneath the melody. It can lead, it can push, it can define the identity of a song. The P-Bass helped move music from rooms into clubs, from clubs into stadiums, from local bands into amplitude culture. And perhaps its most important legacy is not technical, but behavioral. It changed what musicians expected from their instruments. The Fender Precision Bass did not make rhythm important. Rhythm was in fact always important. What it did was to give rhythm a new body. It took something heavy, fragile, and difficult to project and transformed it into something portable amplified, and exact. Leo's Fender achievement was not only that he created a successful instrument, it was that he understood the musician as a working body moving through a changing world. Cars, clubs, radio, recording studios, louder bands, smaller stages, bigger audiences. The P-Bass belonged to that world because it was designed for it. And once it arrived, music changed around it. The bass could travel, the bassist could move, the groove could become louder, tighter, and more physical. This is why the Precision Bass is not just a classic instrument, it is a piece of cultural infrastructure, a redesign of rhythm for the electric age. And that, truly, is a beautiful legacy.
Beautiful legacy. Every line, every curve leaves a trace.
You've been listening to A Beautiful Legacy. In this new chapter, we are exploring legacy through specific works, objects, rooms, systems, graphics, and ideas that change the way we live. If this episode shifted how you think about the bass, rhythm, or the hidden design decisions behind the sound of modern music, follow the show and join me for the next episode. Until then, keep noticing the beauty people leave behind.
Beautiful legacy. Every line, every curve leaves a trace of who we were. In the shape of a chair, in the light on a wall, someone's dream still stands tall. But echoes fade, but the feeling stays.